All right, welcome back to KYC Know Your Crypto. We are doing a quick update on XRP chart analysis for everybody. It just seems like there's a lot of confusion on what's going on with XRP, the whole crypto market, other markets in general. So we're going to cover the chart analysis just to give a perspective and just provide a little education. We need to do this disclaimer. We are not financial advisors. Nothing in this video is financial advice. This is for education, entertainment purposes only. You are responsible for your own due diligence, do your own homework, do your own research. All right, let's get into it. So as you can see from the two tops right here and the two bottoms, it's actually pretty easily identifiable that we have formed a sideways, it's called a sideways broadening wedge pattern, okay? And the thing with this pattern is it can be bullish or bearish. So this is really going to depend on narrative and movement in the crypto market, good or bad, okay? So I think there's a lot of stuff in the works, me personally, because I've been doing a lot of homework on all this lately, but you know, it really just does depend, and we just need to see how this evolves, especially with gold and silver. You know, money could move out of crypto into another market. So like we really just need to see what narratives are going on and how this all plays out in real time. But for now, let's draw this pattern out so y'all can see it. All right, so we got the first bottom formed right there, and then traded sideways for a little bit, and then wham, everyone in the crypto space remembers Crypto Week. That felt like euphoria, didn't it? So this even, I'll admit, this had me fooled a little bit. I did think we were going to trade sideways kind of like this did, but then I did think we were going to kind of build up out of here more or less. Did not do that. Clarity Act did not get passed, yada, yada, yada. So we came back sideways, and then October 10th of last year happened. Big old liquidation in the market. I believe XRP hit like $1.50. I think the chart shows here like $1.52, $1.53. So it came down pretty hard, recovered pretty quick. But as you can tell, a little more bearish downward sideways action. So what happens next? Okay, let's talk about it. How this pattern plays out is typically there is a third, almost always, there's a third top that comes with this pattern. The triangles in a more bullish scenario typically like to be symmetrical, even if they grow in size. You can kind of look at them and they kind of grow proportionately, symmetrically. So if this happened, we would see this, and we would see about $3.95, not quite $4. Okay, $3.95, $3.98. So if I were to take, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to take a small portion of profits I'm probably going to set a limit buy for like $3.85 to $3.90. And I'm just going to follow narrative from there. But that does not mean you do your own homework and due diligence. You're responsible for your own investing. Okay, so if this happens, what happens next? Well, it rarely, unless the narrative is just incredibly bullish, it does not usually bust through here. We do see, even if it is a temporary and healthy cool-off retracement, we do see that in this pattern. This would be the more bullish case, to where we get a retracement to about this point or lower, somewhere about here, and then about symmetrically, or at least really close, then we kind of build our way back out in a roughly symmetrical V, and we discover new all-time highs breaking out of this upper trend line. If this reversal up here does not happen, then typically this guy comes all the way back down to retest this line. This type of pattern, typically, once you kind of break, even if it's right here, you know what I mean? We typically don't see anything right here, and then it comes back out. So if we break, I'm going to say like $3. If we pull up to this line and then we bust below $3 again, I think we're in for kind of a ride back down to retest this line one more time, and then we need to see what happens. If it does not bust through, because it can, this is how this pattern goes. Typically, when you come down into this, it usually means a little more often than not a bullish scenario. And usually when you come up into this, it's actually bearish. But if you look at what's going on with crypto, kind of behind the scenes, like the big money in the world still after it. And yeah, it's just, I find it hard to believe that there's just too much to mention right now. This video would turn into like 2 hours, but I just find it hard to believe that we would break below this line. We could, I don't know, it could come up here on super bullish. We'll talk about this in a second on what I think might happen. But if we come up here and come back down to retest this line, this is the point to watch, okay? From here, it would either go up and kind of like that, or just a little recovery, and then we would go down, or it's going to build gradually and back out, which this could make sense because if you, let's pull up a couple dates here. This is right about the end of the year. So the market would technically be pumping and rip into all-time highs right at midterm elections. That would make perfect sense to me. If we followed this tracement all the way back down, had super bearish narrative, everyone thinks crypto's dead again, blah, blah, blah. But then we bottom out and it could build out because of that. Money printing, whatever. So if this doesn't happen, let's talk about the more bullish scenario. If we have this retracement up here and then we reverse, there's a very peculiar date with this one also. If we look at where, again, this is not exact, this is just a very close guesstimate. It could rip here, it could rip here, you know, the spot is not exact. It's just a really close rough estimate for you to gauge your own homework on. So if we follow this, when does it rip all-time highs roughly? If right about or right before going into July 4th, let's say this was a little bit, okay, let's draw it right there. Let's just say this did go just like that. That still follows pretty symmetrical. Yeah, ripping out right around July 4th. I don't know why this thing keeps moving back on me. Freaking chart. Okay. You son of a bitch. All right. Boom. Right there. We'll do a new one. And let's go back a second. What would drive XRP back to this almost not quite $4 range? Well, if you've been paying attention to the Trump administration, it's not letting me mark the 16th here because I'm zoomed out, it's marking me on the 16th, but February 18th is a very important date because the Trump administration is hosting a huge financial meeting at Mar-a-Lago with many of the world's biggest financiers, central bank people, yada, yada, okay? So I could see something like over here where we led up into crypto week, sideways, we're going back down again, and then up narrative and wham. Very quick, very explosive, very hypey, narrative driven, boom, comes back up, and then we would have a cool off. So that's kind of what I'm guessing is going to happen. There is absolutely no guarantee on this. I don't know. This just makes sense to me. Based off of everything we've seen, everything evolving in the crypto market, because there is still a lot evolving in the crypto market, and it's not just the blockchains that most people talk about. Like, not financial advice, I've recently woken up to Canton Network that is partnered with the DTCC. Go Google that for your own info and homework. But basically, I would expect bullish momentum. World Liberty Financial might be the front runner of it because obviously that's the Trump family's coin. It's their crypto. So if this came out, I think that would be the bullish scenario to drive this up, and then we need to see what happens from there. We need to see how this plays out in real time, and this is going to be very narrative driven. Okay? And again, we're going to wrap up here. I'm going to leave this at one final note. If we do come up here and follow this pattern out, I'm going to mark a line right there. It does, even if it does candle to $4, I'm probably going to set a limit by about 385 to 390 and then just wait to see what happens. I will only be selling a very small portion of my XRP at this to simply put on the side and re-enter at a lower point. But that's kind of what I'm seeing. Whether you agree or disagree, as long as it's a respectful opinion, I am open to all your comments. Please comment what you're thinking. If you agree, disagree, if you think something different is going to happen or a different narrative is going to come out instead of that, I welcome it. I think that's healthy discussion. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.